Imagine an island shrouded in mystery, a place where time seems to have stood still for 60,000 years. Deep in the Bay of Bengal, part of the Andaman Islands archipelago, lies North Sentinel Island. It's a lush, green paradise from above, ringed by coral reefs and turquoise waters. But this beauty hides a fierce secret. This island is home to the Sentinelese, one of the last uncontacted tribes on Earth. They are a people who have deliberately and consistently rejected the outside world, preserving a way of life that dates back to the Stone Age. For tens of thousands of years, they have thrived in complete isolation. Think about that for a moment. While civilizations rose and fell, while empires expanded and crumbled, while humanity invented writing, the wheel, electricity, and the internet, the Sentinelese continued their lives untouched and unaware. They are a direct, living link to our ancient human past, a window into how our ancestors might have lived. They are hunter-gatherers, masters of their environment. They hunt with bows and arrows, fish in the shallow coastal waters using specialized nets and spears, and gather wild plants from the dense jungle that covers their island. The world first became widely aware of them through scattered reports from mariners and more formally from British colonial administrators in the late 19th century. In 1880, a British naval officer named Maurice Vidal Portman led an armed expedition to the island. They managed to capture an elderly couple and several children, taking them back to Port Blair, the main town in the Andamans. Tragically, away from their isolated environment and with no immunity to modern diseases, the elderly couple quickly fell ill and died. Portman, perhaps realizing the devastating consequences of his actions, returned the children to the island with gifts, but the message was clear. Contact could be deadly. This initial encounter likely cemented the Sentinelese's hostility towards outsiders for generations to come. Throughout the 20th century, there were sporadic attempts at contact, most of them ending in failure or a volley of arrows from the shore. Indian government survey teams would occasionally leave gifts like coconuts, pots, and pans on the beach. Sometimes the Sentinelese would accept the gifts. Other times, they would respond with weapons, making their desire to be left alone unmistakably clear. One of the most famous documented encounters was in the early 1990s, led by Indian anthropologist Triloknath Pandit. After years of leaving gifts, his team finally had a brief, peaceful interaction where the Sentinelese came into the water to collect coconuts directly from their hands. It was a breakthrough moment, but it was short-lived. The Indian government soon realized the immense risks involved. The primary danger is disease. The Sentinelese have been isolated for so long that they have no immunity to common illnesses like the flu, measles, or even the common cold. A single virus could wipe out their entire population, a devastating tragedy that has befallen many indigenous communities throughout history upon first contact. This isn't just a theoretical risk. It's a proven historical fact. The very act of trying to study or help them could be the thing that destroys them. Their isolation is their best defense, a fragile shield against a world they have no need for. Because of this, the Indian government established a strict policy of non-interference. It is illegal for anyone to go within 5 nautical miles of the island. This law is not just to protect outsiders from the Sentinelese's defensive hostility, but it's more importantly to protect the Sentineleses from us. The Indian Navy patrols the waters to enforce this exclusion zone, treating the island as a sovereign territory for its inhabitants. They are left to live their lives as they choose, a rare and precious example of a people allowed to exist entirely on their own terms. We get glimpses of their world through satellite imagery and occasional distant aerial photography. The island is about the size of Manhattan, roughly 60 square kilometers, and almost entirely covered in dense forest. There's no sign of agriculture or permanent large-scale settlements. They seem to live in small temporary shelters. They don't appear to have mastered the art of creating fire themselves. But instead, they are believed to carefully preserve embers from lightning strikes in clay pots. Their tools and weapons are crafted from materials found on the island. They are masters of using what their environment provides. For metal, they rely on scavenging from shipwrecks that have washed ashore on their reefs over the centuries, painstakingly hammering it into arrowheads and blades. The 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami was a major test of their resilience. The catastrophic wave devastated the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Many feared the Sentinelese had been wiped out. But a few days later, an Indian Coast Guard helicopter flew over the island to check for survivors. As it descended, a lone Sentinelese warrior emerged from the jungle, took aim, and fired an arrow at the helicopter. It was a defiant, powerful gesture. It meant they had survived. They didn't need or want our help. They were resilient, they were strong, and they were still defending their home. Perhaps the most recent and tragic reminder of their isolation was in 2018. An American missionary, John Allenshaw, illegally paid fishermen to take him to the island. Driven by a desire to convert the tribe to Christianity, he ignored the laws and the obvious dangers. His diary revealed he knew the risks, but believed it was his calling. He was met with hostility on his first attempts, but persisted. On his final trip to the shore, he was killed by the Sentinelese. The incident sparked a global debate. Was it a murder? Or was it a predictable act of self-defense by a people protecting their home from an intruder? For the Sentinelese show was a threat, an unknown invader from a world that had only ever brought them harm and danger. His body was never recovered, as any attempt to do so would risk further conflict and expose the tribe to deadly pathogens. North Sentinel Island forces us to ask profound questions about ourselves. In an age of globalization where every corner of the map seems to be charted and explored, what right do we have to impose our world on others? The Sentinelese are not a lost tribe. They are not waiting to be found. They are a people who have made a choice repeated over thousands of years, to be left alone. They are a testament to human resilience and the deep-seated desire for self-determination. Their existence is a fragile miracle. They are a living anthropological treasure, but one that can only be preserved from a distance. To try and study them up close would be to destroy the very thing that makes them unique. They challenge our modern notions of progress and development. They have no technology, no written language, no currency, but are they any less human? They have survived for 60,000 years without any of the things we consider essential. They have community, culture, and a deep connection to their land that we can only imagine. What does the future hold for the Sentinelese? Hopefully more of the same. The best thing we can do for them is to respect their wishes and keep our distance. Let them be the masters of their own destiny. Their island is not a theme park to be visited or a mystery to be solved. It is a home, sanctuary that has been successfully defended for millennia. They are a stark and powerful reminder that there are still places in this world that are not for us, and that the greatest form of respect we can show is to leave them in peace. The story of North Sentinel Island is ultimately not about us. It's about them, a quiet, defiant people living in a world of their own making. And we should do everything in our power to make sure it stays that way. Thanks for watching. If you found this story as fascinating as I did, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell for more journeys into the unknown corners of our world.